Welcome to the Clemson Dubcast. Happy Friday, September 17th, a day away from Georgia Tech's visit to Death Valley on TigerIllustrated.com. Right now, a must-read from Paul Strelo, his late week recruiting insider, chock full of in-depth stuff. Recruiting-wise, a bunch of questions from our subscribers. This is a fairly recent addition to our weekly content lineup, and it's been an absolute hit with subscribers. Feel free to become one if you already aren't. TigerIllustrated.com. My good friends Blake Smith and Brooke Archenhold have been part of the podcast since the beginning, way back in August of 2018. They have an accomplished team of personal injury attorneys at Parham, Smith, and Archenhold based in Greenville. They are Clemson people, and their skillful attorneys have decades of experience in complicated litigation matters, taking a special interest in medical malpractice, nursing home abuse and neglect, car accident cases that have left the individuals involved in serious trouble. For a free consultation at Parham, Smith, and Archenhold, call 864-990-4581 or online at parhamlaw.com. That's PARHAM law.com. If you're in the Eastern Midlands and PD area and you're in any way interested in buying and selling a home, commercial property, land, need to consider reaching out to Uptown Realty. They're based out of Sumter and run by a friend of mine, Patrick Enzer, big Clemson guy, used to cover the Tigers in a newspaper capacity, longtime supporter of Tiger Illustrated, longtime listener to the Dubcast. The home buying process should be an enjoyable experience, so let Patrick and his staff do all the heavy lifting. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call 803-774-0435 or go to uptownrealtysc.com. Celero Communications, formerly known as Tandem Payment, is a full-service integrated electronic payments provider powered by leading-edge technology. Celero provides a wide array of merchant solutions, simplified payments. They make onboarding, taking payments, maintaining risk management and compliance, and getting support quick and easy. At Celero, they're all about helping you achieve sustainable growth as a business. Taking payments isn't the only thing your business needs. With Celero's solutions, you can manage inventory, sell products and services via social media, schedule staff, track sales, get reports, and much, much more. Find out more about Celero at celerocommerce.com. That's CELERO commerce.com. Okay, to our interview with longtime Clemson strength and conditioning coach Joey Batson. He joined us to tell the very personal story of his open heart surgery he underwent over the summer. A lot of compelling and powerful aspects to this story, so let's get to it. Here we go. Okay, joined by Joey Batson. It's an honor to be here and particularly allow me to tell your story.
I really appreciate it. It's been obviously been a busy summer for us as far as training goes and preparing the team, and then with some of the things that I had to get corrected, made it a very challenging summer. But we're kind of working our way through it and. Just getting stronger every day.
So, I saw you in the bathroom last week. I'm like, how are you doing? Just making small talk, and then I walk out of there, and I'm thinking, I would like to learn more about this man's story. So I guess the all I know is the basics,
right?
And so I saw assorted. I guess at one point I saw the team photo of the guys praying for you, and can we maybe just start from the beginning?
Yeah. Well, my dad had a heart attack at 39, and it was a one-shot deal. He didn't recover, and I was about 16, 17-ish years old, and probably when I got in my early 20s, we just started tracking, and I was having a checkup, with cardiologists and physicals, and just made it a yearly routine. And so, everything was going along pretty good. And we had some calcium in there that we'd known about for quite a while. And what happens is you start getting it on the valves, and then you start getting stenosis. And so it just progressively gets worse. And so about a year ago, the cardiologist told me, he said, "Hey, you're going to need some advanced care, and we need to find a place for you to go and get that care." And I really didn't understand what that meant. So I have some friends that are doctors and work in the business, and come to find out that means you're getting ready to have surgery. And So we started looking around at different places and what would be best, and we had some other docs along the way that would kind of help us and guide us. So it's just you got to make that decision where you want to go and where you feel comfortable. And so, we made that decision, and they did a phenomenal job. They got me in there really quick, got me set up to go. And so basically, I had my mitral valve replaced, and I had calcium there and stenosis. Then I had my aortic valve replaced, and there was stenosis there. So basically, they had to go inside the heart, take those valves out, replace them, and then they had to get as much calcium out as they could, which made it very, very complex. So it was we went with a seasoned doctor. He'd been doing a lot of complex surgeries for years and years, and met with him and one time, and felt pretty comfortable with it. And then we went and got through it. Stayed in the hospital 7 days. Got home. It was about a 6-week recovery period. It's just kind of total rest. You start trying to work out some of the bugs. You experience a lot of different things. Your body's trying to heal. Your heart has been intruded upon, which it's not very happy. It likes to be left alone in its spot. So when you start poking around with it gets angry. So you kind of deal with those issues. And then the meds coming off, some of the medicine, going on medicine, and the kind of insomnia, lack of appetite, just normal post-surgery things. It just takes time to heal up. And so now I celebrated my 3rd month anniversary on September the 10th. It's been 3 months now, and we're doing very, very good. So like I tell people, that was my life then. This is my life now. So about 30 plus pounds lighter, still trying to kind of lean up and give myself a chance. And so the valves, we could have went mechanical. We went more the biological route, which he felt like was the best way to go. Since I'm fairly young, I was only 59 when I went in, and was 60 this past in June 22nd. Just felt like that was my best route.
What is biological versus mechanical?
It'd be like I guess like pig valves or anything more natural. Mm-hmm. But you get little cards. It's an identification on every one of them. So you got these little cards that come with it, like a prosthesis, that they implant. So I went from not getting really good blood flow to a lot more with those valves opening up, having clearance for the blood to get from the aorta to the ventricle and back out into the, to get good circulation. All that's opened up. So I do have a lot more energy. I feel better. Again, it's just going to take time to get confident. And so right now, we do cardiac rehab twice a week on Tuesday and Thursday. And it normally lasts anywhere from an hour 15 minutes. So that gives you a lot of confidence because they hook you up, they monitor your heart rate and the pressure on the heart, and they slowly progress you. So I understand, what they're trying to do in the progression side. And I told them I was a very coachable person. So I think it made them happy. Some people don't want to do what we ask them to do. I said, listen, I'm here to get better. So whatever y'all recommend, that's what I'm going to do. So
where is this?
I go to in Seneca, Prisma,
okay.
Oconee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have a great program, and the ladies there are awesome. They care, and the only problem I have, I'm about 15 years younger than everybody in there, so I feel like a teenager compared to the rest of the clientele. But everybody works hard, and they just really care from the nutrition side to the mental health side of it. They got people there to really help you with all areas. And one of the nurses was a Georgia grad, another one was a South Carolina grad. So they made it a little tough on me week one, but it's been good.
So can you take me back to when your father had his heart attack? 39, you said?
He was 39. We went Travelers Rest High School, It's 1977. We're having a great year. I mean, we're just having a phenomenal year. A lot of us played together through Little League, and it was a good group of guys coming up. I was a junior. I had a really good senior group, and we ended up winning the conference that year. And it was about my dad was running for mayor. He worked for Pepsi, and he was involved in local government. And we had about a game or two to go in the season. Looked like we were going to win the championship. And he loved football. He played it in the high school at Travis Rest in the 50s. Was a really good player. Played a lot of different sports. And so he was excited. My mom had a little flower shop there in Travis Rest. So I had two sisters. My youngest sister was only just a few months old. Tori was about 3, and then Anita was around 13-ish. And we had all sit down to have dinner, and I believe it was on a Monday night. I was telling the guys yesterday, I couldn't wait to get home from a Monday practice, do my homework, and watch Monday Night Football. It was nothing like Monday Night Football.
Cosell?
Oh, yeah, all the oldies. And we had dinner together. I remember growing up, we had dinner about every night as a family. My mother would cook, and sometimes it wasn't what I wanted, but, she cooked, and we ate what she cooked. And I remember we all sat down as a family, had dinner, and he just talked about how good it, he had, I think, beans and cornbread, and so he loved it. He talked about how great our supper was, and I was like, it's filling. But he got up. A gentleman came by to get him. They went to their meeting, and went and did my homework, and it had to be less than an hour later. He comes in, and he goes and lays on the bed, and my mother's trying to talk to him. And, I look in there on the bed, and he's white as a ghost, and he's really in pain. And so they came and picked him up. And, our family all kind of lived in the same neighborhood, so I went and stayed with a cousin about 2 doors down. And they came out and stayed with me, and everybody else went to the hospital. And it was about 3 or 4 in the morning. I could hear people crying, and I remember I was in the back bedroom, got up, and when I started down the hall, my mother, my pastor, my uncle, they just said, he's gone. And I didn't, it was just shock, to me. He was kind of the rock in our family. And so, being 16, 17 years old, and all of a sudden you lose your dad, and, your mom's taking care of, she's got a 16-year-old, 13-year-old, and a 3-month-old. It's pretty devastating. But, today he has that same event. He's got a chance. But back then he just didn't have a chance. His heart went into a spasm, and they couldn't get the rhythm right. And, he talked to my mom right before he passed, and I guess he knew. He said, just take care of my children. And that's the last words he said.
Wow.
So we still think about him, miss him, and but that's what started my journey of it just goes back to, it's just so, to get a physical every year, to get things checked out, because you want to get on any type of health issue early to give yourself a chance. And I would just recommend that highly to people. If I had never started following that care, then what would have happened? Because I was getting kind of worn down, felt tired a lot, just thinking, well, it's the job, it's the pressure. And I would have probably just kept going until one either had a stroke or heart attack. So we had an opportunity for an intervention.
Mm-hmm. So backing up to, you said age 20, you started going
regularly.
Probably
right after college or so. I was getting some checkups and all, but it seemed like it was probably mid-20s or so when I really got serious about it. So that's a long time.
And you really got serious based solely on what happened with your father.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We would have, I'd have never thought nothing about it. And but once, I had some older men that was friends of my dad, somewhere in the medical business, and they stayed on me. They said, man, you got to, because, it's in the family. We all got something, and there's something in our families that, whether it be a cancer or heart disease or diabetes. There's some underlying something in each family has something. And my dad's brothers, they didn't, they might have made it to 50 or so, but they had heart issues and problems. So we knew it was a problem, but we just didn't know how it would, how it would affect us. So we just kept monitoring that.
And any history beyond, like, your grandparents or anything beyond?
Yeah,
beyond
my mother's side was more, my mother's side was a little bit of both, heart disease and cancer, but a lot of heart disease. And then on my dad's side, kind of the same. So it was a perfect storm for me. But, it just incredible what they can do now. Just the care and the technology and just the precision that they can work at and as a team. You're going into prepping for surgery, you're kind of like, I knew a lot, but I didn't know everything. And after it was over, I was like, I'm glad I didn't know everything that went with it. So, but my recovery's been pretty good. I'm still slow, still very cautious. Every little bump, sometimes, you just, your mind is so powerful that you have to reprogram kind of the way you think and affirmation and through scripture reading and prayer and because the mental side of the healing is just as important as the physical, and that's things you didn't know. Mm-hmm. I experienced about every little thing you could experience, more of some than others, but mentally speaking, it can be very very difficult until you can kind of get confident, and that's why I think the rehab's so important.
When you say intervention, you're speaking strictly about the doctor just saying, "Hey," about
the surgery. I mean, it's having that talk that there's some things we got to fix, and here's your options. And once we decided on that place, and we went and met with that surgeon, did a phenomenal. He spent a lot of time with me. He's unbelievable surgeon at what he does. In the years he was, I think Dr. Guyton's probably in his 70s, and that's what I told. Me and Susan talked about. I said, I want somebody with some white in their hair. I need a gray-headed person, and I need somebody that's been involved in been under the hood a lot. And he kind of thrives. I think he thrives on complex surgery, and with Emory being a teaching hospital, there was just a lot for them to learn too. It's just it was the right fit for me, for this surgery. So,
what's the timeline on this? When did you? What date are we talking about when your doctor tells you this?
Mm-hmm.
And was that just from a routine visit?
Just a routine check, just ultrasound and scanning and just kind of having that kind of follow up. Say, we got here's your test results. This is what and Dr. Chandler, he's our obviously works with us here at Clemson. When he just sits down and kind of lays it out for you and says it's time. It was probably, I'll say quite a year ago, but it was sometime about this time of year when I would have a, physical, probably more summerish. So it was a little while out. I don't actually remember the exact date. I just remember sitting there kind of by myself, kind of looking off in the distance saying, wow, you think we can we've been kicking the can down the road a little bit.
Yeah.
Even when I went to Emory and met with them and they did all their evaluations and testing, when I got the call from Dr. Guyton, I'm thinking, man, maybe they can just say, after the season, maybe we can kick that can down the road a little bit. Because he kind of, he was, when he was talking to us, I don't know if he just didn't have everything he wanted to make that call, but I felt like, we're going to be able to go a little longer. But no, he called and I didn't get it, and so I saw he left a voice message, and I just remember listening to the message, and I think, well, this is it. And I called Susan and said, we're getting ready to go. And they got me in really quick. I was probably in there 2 to 3 weeks after that conversation. And we went through our the surgery, and it was an open heart deal. I mean, they opened me up pretty good, and had to take my heart and do a lot of things to it and get all the calcium out. That was a big deal. So I think they had to put some kind of foam, and then he had a little ultrasonic thing. He had to kind of break up the calcium and clean it out as best he could, because he had to sew those valves in. And so I think in the report they give you a surgeon's report, and I read through it, couldn't understand half of it, but I just knew that was a lot, and it was pretty complex. It ended up going about 45 minutes longer than they had anticipated. So, but within 24 hours, I was on my feet walking down the hall. I mean, it might have been quicker. I know they get you up and start moving you around, and they give you this little pillow, I'd say, with a heart, and they say, whatever you do for the next month, don't let this thing get out of your sight. And I'm thinking, well, okay, why? And they said, well, if you got to sneeze or cough, you got to brace. So you need to wrap yourself, or wrap your arms around that pillow, pull it really tight when you cough or sneeze. And so I remember one time that I couldn't find it, and I had to sneeze. And I mean, it was, I was like, I was sitting down, but if I'd have been up, I'd have probably went down on a knee. And I thought, they are absolutely right. Wow. Whatever you do, I would carry that. When I'd get in the car and we'd travel or go back and forth to doctor visits or whatever, I had that little old pillow I took with me all the time.
Wow. So doctor here lays everything out and refers you to Emory. Am I getting that right?
Well, they give you options. You got the Mayo Clinic, which is up in Minnesota. You got Duke. So they really don't tell you where to go. Then they recommend, and kind of your options. It's kind of your decision deciding where you want to go. I had a consulting physician that does a lot of that work. It's just a friend that just helped me out. Dr. Dennis over at St. Francis. He was Amy Pruitt, who's a nurse. That they do a lot of valve replacement work, and that's what he does mostly. And Amy is my first cousin, and was talking to her about the surgery, and she said, well, you need to come see Dr. Dennis and sit down and talk to him. And he was great. I think he really he really helped me understand the surgery, because I didn't understand what I was getting into. So he really kind of explained everything that's going to happen, and how much better you're going to feel, and this is kind of the things you're going to have to deal with post surgery, and he kind of helped guide me in these different. He knew a lot of different surgeons, but he found Dr. Guyton down at Emory, and he said, hey, I like this guy. They're about the same age. He said, I think that's your guy if you're interested. So that's how that happened.
And so all you said you didn't really know much about it. What did you learn? That sort of the technical parts of it. What were you enlightened by?
Well, just that it's something that's done often. I mean, it's not rare. I mean, but it's people are having valve replacement surgery every single day. Mm-hmm. So, and they just get better and better and better and better. And so I'm thinking, well, people have this done every day. Now, mine's a little different. That's why I'm having to go to more of a research kind of hospital. Maybe they've seen more of it and have had more cases. So that was the really the biggest difference, just going to a different place, and where they just saw more of it. And this doctor had done a lot of complex surgeries. So that's kind of, going down and meeting with him and going through everything and, talking through it. That's kind of how I learned, okay, it's the percentages are on my side in terms of getting through and recovery, but you always have that percentage of things that can go wrong. Anytime they put you under, put you on a pump, chill your body down, open you up, and then have to basically bypass, take your heart, and have to work on it and do all the things they need to do, how they do all that. They kind of showed me the procedure. I'm like, how do they do that? And then to sew you up, throw a little, he said he's going to put a little Georgia power to it. They kept giving me a hard time to get that thing fired back up and running, and close you up and send you on to ICU. And then if you're doing well, they move you in a room really quick. Mm-hmm. So, and I got a good team here. Dr. Swan, he's my personal physician, and Dr. Manfredi kind of handles the electrical side. Dr. Chandler's, and the cardiologist. So I got a team of 4 people back here at home that I'm working with now since we've been through the surgery. So just felt more comfortable getting back home and getting under these guys, and I probably bug them too much because every little bump I feel, I may text them and say, hey, what's going on? Mm-hmm. But they've been great, and I've been able to get access, and there's a lot of great doctors out there. That's the first time I really had a major surgery, and just to see how much the nurses and the doctors and everybody involved care, and then all the things they're battling in the hospitals on top of doing surgeries. With all the COVID things they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. I mean, you talk about frontline folks, man. These are heroes.
Yes.
I mean, phenomenal people and very dedicated to their craft and their calling.
You said they said you're going to feel so much better after this. What can you describe the ways you might have been feeling limited before? What does it feel like? What some of the?
Yeah, I would say. Fatigue, because you're not getting really good blood flow because the mitral valves, it's not opening fully, and on top of that, it's like snow building up. So the oculus and the valve, you got the calcium around the oculus, and it's starting to shrink up. With stenosis, you got the valve that's collecting the calcium. They think it was from having rheumatic fever as a child. That's normally where it'll start, where it'll deposit some calcium in the heart. So probably the shortness of breath, the fatigue, and just trying to think, well, I'm just getting older. I'm in a stressful environment. I work a lot, which, I love what I do. It's what I'm called to do. I'm very passionate about my work, and thinking that, man, I'm just, I feel like I just got to keep trying to find some energy somewhere. Well, with that restriction of blood flow and the ventricle begins to thicken, one of the walls begins to thicken up, and the way your heart pumps is having to work really hard, to get that blood in and out. And so that's what I knew it was there, but I couldn't put the two together. Mm-hmm. And then that's the one thing they said. Now you're going to feel like you're 16 again. I mean, you're going to feel so much better and have so much more energy and be able to breathe better. And I can tell already. I mean, that's the one thing I can tell is I have more energy, but right now, I got a governor on, so I'm just kind of limited in what I can do in terms of physically outside of the cardiac kind of care work. I'm here working every day, taking care of the players, but you have to kind of stay in a kind of a chill mode, so to speak, in terms of not getting yourself too elevated and not getting a little discouraged by the procedure, the process. Well, it's very slow. 3 months in, feel really good, but not 100%. So I hope every month I put behind me, it's just a chance to continue to get better, more confident, start being able to move around a little more. Still have lingering effects from the surgery, which is just normal kind of things that you kind of at first are like, well, why is my hand numb? Why is my upper glute still numb? Why are my toes numb? Well, it's just from surgery, and over time these things start to kind of work themselves out.
What did you weigh before?
Oh, when I went into surgery, I was around 65, 68. That's kind of when I checked in. During the surgery, at one point, they would come weigh you every night, and they'd roll a scale in, they get you on the scale. And I had so much fluid, they put like 4 tubes that come out of your out of your stomach, and those tubes drain into some of these boxes, and they come in and they check how much fluid, and they weigh you. And so I was about my highest point in the hospital. I remember getting on those scales is about 288. When I left the hospital, I was back around 268, 265, because they kind of got you back down to where you were when you came in. And then right now I'm sitting, I've been under 240, between 37 and 38, 39 for the last 6 days. So, we're talking 30 pounds. And I'm going down more,
Yeah.
My goal is to get to 235, and then my goal is to get to 230. And this is just to give your heart a chance, get your blood pressure down, get leaner, and have more energy.
What's your goal?
Oh, I'm short term, but I'd like to get to 225. I do still carry quite a bit of muscle mass from all the years of training. So, if I could get down to 225, then we'll just kind of go from there. But, it's going to be just 35, 30. Let's get to 30. Normally what I've found is you'll get around a mark, and you'll kind of just hover in there. And I chart it every day, and then hopefully you can dip and make another run. So you can't starve yourself. You just have to get smaller meals, take as much sodium out of the diet as you can, drinking a lot of water, eating a lot of fruit, just very balanced meals. There's things that I love to eat that I, right now I just don't really have a desire for, because I know, back then I could have it. It wasn't a big deal. Now, it's like, it's kind of life and death food right there. So,
like what?
Not you can't have it, but you just got to make it, like, say, a nice cheeseburger, double with cheese and fries, and maybe do a half and half.
Yeah.
But just, now you look at it and like, well, I can have that, but I just got to go home and cook my own. Whether it be a turkey burger, or you can have a beef burger, but it's got to be lean. So, pizza, love pizza, but if you're going to eat one, you better eat a little small one. It better be all veggie. That's no fun.
You're
meat
so
lover,
right.
Meat lover guy.
Was your diet bad before? Like, would you eat a ton of that stuff?
Wasn't terrible. I mean, I was an egg whiter and oatmeal and fruit guy in the morning. Lunches, probably more subs and sandwiches, and never wasn't a big burger or lunch guy. Loved some meat and threes. Dinner was, Susan did a great job preparing meals, but, back you'd probably dabble a little more in some sweets than you should, and overeat, over-supplement, probably drinking more shakes and more vitamins than probably I really needed. So just kind of going back to ground zero, going back to scratch, and just kind of starting over and just slowly implementing new strategies in terms of what your body really needs and what it don't need.
You said you were just sort of staring off into space when doctor tells you sort of the gravity of it. What was it like? Can you tell me what it was like going home to tell your family?
Well, I called, Susan, and I said, hey, we're up. We're going for this surgery, and the whole thing is just like, man, this just got real. And in a sense, I was I was nervous, but it was a nervous excitement, because I knew that based on conversation with people that had been through it, and the confidence that Amy gave me, and Dr. Denny, the confidence I gained from them saying, hey, you're going to feel much better when it's all said and done. So I was very confident that, hey, this is going to be okay. But, it's complex. So, that's why you're heading down there. And I remember calling the boys and telling them, and, they were kind of, hey, you got to go. You got to get it done. They kind of, that sports-minded background, say, hey, let's go do it. And to me, I just thought, boy, this thing's getting real. And I never will forget the day of the surgery. They told me, said, listen, you'll be here at 5:30, and you'll be the first one up. And, of course, didn't sleep much that night. Got in there, and it's just kind of dark in this room, and it's just me and Susan, and you see a couple other patients kind of, coming in, sitting, everybody's sitting around. I'm thinking, I wonder what he's in here for. I wonder what she's in here for. And the lady comes over and said, "Listen, we had we had to back you. We had to move it so you're not going at 5:30. You're going to be going around. So it's 5 hours, around 10, 11ish. So now you're in holding. You're kind of like, oh man. And then you say, oh God. And that's probably the worst part, just sitting there waiting and seeing them coming out, talking to couples, and the couples hugging, and people walking off, and you're just like, hey, I got to do that in a few minutes. I hope in a few minutes. And finally they came out and got me, and I just remember, I gave Susan a big hug, and she took a left, and the nurse took me, and I took a right, and I remember going through these big doors, and I'm just like, I'm kind of like, man, this is happening, I think one of the, to me, was a funny. I'm in my bed, and you kind of got your little gown on and stuff, and then the nurse walks in and said, "Mr. Batson," said, "men, you're getting ready to become very good friends here." I said, "Well, hey, that's good. I'm nice to meet you." She said, "No, we're gonna have to shave you down." And so you're that close. I said, "Oh, I see what you're talking about." I mean, it was great. I mean, she was just great, but. I didn't know. I said, "Hey, nice to meet you." And she said, "No, we're here." Kind of explained everything, and so we did what we had to do there, and kind of got ready. And then a guy came and prepped me from anesthesia, and he had all these things laid out, and he's putting stuff in me all up and down each arm, and I'm thinking, good night. And so I'm a little nervous, so I'm just trying to make conversation with him, and he was talking a little bit, and after a while I got to thinking, this old guy, he's pretty serious about his job. I think I'm going to leave him alone because, he was just locked in. He was locked in. He would answer and talk. But after a while, I'm thinking, this dude's game day for this guy.
Yeah.
He's focused. So I said, I'm going to leave him alone. And so finally they came to the room, and they said, it's time to go. And I remember, that bed kind of moving down the hallways. And I just remember, and one thing I did ask the anesthesiologist, I said, listen, I had rather not get in that room and lay there very long. I said, I'd kind of like to be kind of close to sleep before. So I just don't want to go in there and kind of have to look at all this stuff. He goes, oh, no, we'll get you out really quick. So you'll be fine. And I remember kind of going through some doors, and every door I went through, it got brighter. And I saw more stainless. And all of a sudden, out of my mind, I said, I can't say it. I don't want to say it exactly how I said, but I said, boys, this stuff just got real. There's no turning back here. And but I was really at peace with it. I never was crazy nervous. I had prayed about it. My eye doctor, Dr. Brad Williams, Dr. Williams, we prayed together, and we would share scriptures together, and he would encourage me, and a lot of people just encouraging and praying for you. I had so many emails and text messages. I tried to hit everybody back, but I know I missed people, and if I did, I'm sorry. It was just the overwhelming the number of people just through coaching 30 plus years, and just friends, and to me that's what kept you going through some pretty dark times, because they are dark times. There's some things there mentally that you got to overcome, and you will overcome it. But you can't be a tough guy. You just got to take the help and seek the help and tell them what's going on so you can work through that stuff. So that's kind of how that went. So,
what is that stuff, if you don't mind me prying?
I think, you're going to have some depression. I think that just comes with the surgery. I would say you're going to have anxiety. You're going to have a lot of, some anxiety, some uncertainty. Insomnia was terrible. First, I don't think I slept more than 2 or 3 hours at one time for over a month. Your food doesn't taste it just don't taste right, and you don't have an appetite at all. Have no appetite, can't sleep. You're very uncomfortable. It's hard to get comfortable. But these things just slowly, with the different people that I had been through it, that I would call, they'd call me and check on me. They were able to kind of guide me and say, hey, when you get through this little stage right here, and this is kind of what's coming, So then you can kind of work through that stage. So they've been there and done it. So then you understand kind of why you feel the way you do, and kind of how to prep yourself mentally for each little phase that you go through. Danny Poole said, it's kind of like that type of surgery is kind of like having an ACL. It's just a long process, and it is a process. Don't think you can beat it. I mean, you just got to stay step for step with everything they're telling you to do, and don't, as they say in football, we always try to kind of play ahead of the sticks. We want to be on schedule, but in this game, you want to stay on schedule, but you can't get too far out. And being in athletics and being a coach all these years, and you want to push. You just want to keep pushing. But then you're having to pull yourself back saying, well, I don't know. That's very smart, So.
Football season is grilling season, and Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio is South Carolina's premier source for the big three. Weber, Traeger, and Big Green Egg Grills. Blackstone Griddles, too. I'm Jack Oliver. Grill all your tailgate favorites to perfection with a premium gas, charcoal, or pellet grill, then top it all off with something sizzling from your Blackstone griddle. For grills, griddles, patio furniture, hot tubs, and saunas, shop in store or online at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive in Columbia, and jackoliverpools.com.
Want to share a quick word about Founders Federal Credit Union? If you've been to a sporting event in Clemson, you've probably heard about Founders already. They are the official credit union partner of the Clemson Tigers. In addition to that, all Clemson faculty, staff, and students are eligible for membership as well as IPTAY members. Matt Gross is a proud Clemson alum and the vice president for the Clemson market for Founders Federal Credit Union. Matt's office is located beside the Walmart Neighborhood Market on Old Greenville Highway in Clemson. For more information, go to foundersfcu.com. When you're ready for a complete renovation in your home or business, open the door to more with Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Their local experienced team will totally transform any room space, from beautiful floor coverings to construction to finished details. Harris handles every step of your renovation process, whether it's a kitchen or living room or an industrial or educational setting, like some of the positively stunning work they've done at Clemson University. Go to discoverharris.com and experience a total renovation transformation from Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Another loyal supporter of the Dubcast is Blackacre Law Firm in Greenville, a subsidiary of Parham Smith and Archenhold. Blackacre helps South Carolina residents achieve their dreams of home ownership by providing experienced professional representation for real estate closings. Attention to detail is crucial in real estate law. Blackacre is committed to making sure nothing gets by them preparing residential or commercial closings. Blackacre also offers estate planning services for their clients in the Greenville area. Find out more about Blackacre at 864-326-3507. I can't get out of my mind just the nature of who you are with your profession. I mean, there's a fourth quarter video every home game that is based on fighting through and pushing through and being a warrior, and that's the opposite of listen to your body and slow down. I think of an interview I had with Justin Foster as he was talking about what he went through. He didn't have the energy to do what he needed to do, working out and all that, and it was that battle between, wait a minute, I've always been taught to fight through pain and fight and not show weakness and not listen to, I guess, the more human side of advice and or my conscience, I guess. Can you maybe, was that a big part of your battle in that you're just not programmed, but who you are with all your kids out here? Like that's what you try to wire them to be the opposite of that. Does that make any sense?
My last workout with these guys, I think it was on a Friday, and we had finished up. We always go around 5:30, get through around 7:30. And I remember we just kind of cleaning up, and they all come up and huddle up, and we put on some music, and they kind of have it's kind of like a post game. It's almost a celebration of the week and what they've done, and so Darren Rencher and Jamie Skowski called me up and said, "Hey, come up here, Coach. We're gonna pray over you." And they all were standing around. I get in the middle, and I just promised them one thing. I said, "Hey, I'll go fight. I'm gonna go fight I'm gonna go fight with everything I got, boys, and I'll see you back here in a few weeks." And then they prayed, and and It's just I never solicited that. I had no idea. And so when somebody was looking at the security cameras from this end over here, when they were shooting down, they went through and they took the picture, and when they took the picture, they took a little red pen and outlined the way the team was, and it was shaped like a heart.
Amazing.
And I can show it to you. It's pretty
Amazing.
cool. It's like this. It's the silhouette is a silhouette of a heart. The way the team was around me, and I was like, man,
Wow.
that's cool right there. That just really gave me a lot of confidence. I thought that was very cool, and that hey, this thing's gonna be okay. And there's people in there a lot sicker than I am. There's people that's going through a lot tougher situations, and I just felt like, hey, this is my battle, and this is what the Lord has for me, and it's just going to make me stronger, going to make me feel better, so I can continue to do what I love to do. So.
When you told them you'd be back in a few weeks, did you believe that?
I did. They told me that after 6 weeks that you'd be able to go do office work, so just light office duty. And really, after 6 weeks, I got to 6 weeks. I think I don't know about that. I'm having a hard time sitting up at the house, but I came back and I just started doing like a day and off a day, on a day, off a day, and just trying to kind of clean up from the summer. I got back at the very tail end of summer, so I got to watch the guys train a little bit. And so I just started, when camp started, I just, started doing a little bit every day. And so slowly over time, I just kept building up, my endurance. And for me, the biggest event since June 10th was Georgia, because that was a long day on your feet. The emotion, but that was a big test for me. But I knew I had prepared myself and prepped myself for it, that I would be okay. And if I felt any way, I could always go to the locker room and, just put my feet up for a little while. So did pretty good through that. And other than, the result obviously ain't the result we wanted, but, now it's just that gave me some confidence to be able to go into each game knowing that, hey, you're going to be okay. You just got to make sure you do a good job of managing your emotions and your energy. And there's no fourth quarter video. There's, I'm just kind of, like I said, there's a governor there that there's just limited, in what I can do. I mean, I'm in here 2 days a week with the team. We start training around 6:30 and go about 3 hours, and then we go to staff meetings, and then we come back and train another 45 minutes or so, and then we go to team meeting, and then we're back. This is our developmental group back here now, training them for a good hour before we start practice, and then you got a couple hours of practice, whatever day it is, and then you got post practice, and then you got to get ready for the next day. So our week's really heavy up front Monday, and then each day just the hours kind of come down. So by Friday, when it's a home game, you got a little more time. You can recover to get ready for Saturday.
So when you're going into the Georgia game, what are the signs that you're looking for to tell you I'm doing too much or I need to go back to a room and sit? Is it fatigue or?
Well, the biggest thing is when you're on your feet, you still get a little bit of swelling in your ankles, maybe in your hands. I think it was just so exciting to be in the atmosphere, to feel all that energy, to feel all that life, it just kind of it was just a rush, it made me, I felt normal again. I felt like, this is who I am. This is what I do. Obviously, you're on some medicines that regulate your heart in terms of how the beats and then the nerves in the heart. So you've got help. You got help in your pocket. If you feel like you've getting a little bit of, getting a little too much here or there, you got something you could take to kind of knock the edge off. But I fight that a lot because I don't want to. I'm trying to work through it through breathing and relaxing and quieten my mind more than. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just got to take a little something to kind of help you help you out. But to me, the Georgia, that first game, it was probably the first time I just felt alive in terms of just who I am and what I do and the environment that I'm in. And, this is what I do. This is who I am. And, it's just I was very comfortable in that. But, again, it was just keeping yourself level-headed, calm, trying to enjoy the moment. And obviously it didn't go like we wanted it to, but just being back in the environment around all those people and just was a good thing. And
the pre-surgery Joey Batson on game day on the sideline, are you super wired? And
oh yeah, I'm more wired. I was, and I'll get back to, I'll eventually get back to where I'll, be able to, be a little more vocal. I did get excited at Georgia a couple times, and my son was like, man, he was kind of staying with me the whole time, because he was helping us a little bit with some special teams, mainly numbers and counting and making sure we got everybody. So he was with me the whole time, and he kept asking me, you okay? I said, yeah, I feel pretty good. I'd move away from the crowd. I'd move, when the offense was down, I'd kind of get away from everybody, and defense vice versa. But it was just good to be back, and I'd say, eventually you'll get back to where you kind of got that fire. But right, I got a lot of fire in there. It's just not, it's just limited, and it's hard because I had to do it myself. Nobody else can do it for me. I can go out here and start ranting and raving and pitching a fit and doing all that. But I got a staff that right now that's kind of taking care of that when I need it. So until that time comes again, I just got to be smart. But yeah, I look back and we all think we got to drink all these energy drinks and all this coffee and all. And I told my wife this morning, I said, I got so much energy now, I don't even think about it. I drink decaffeinated coffee, decaffeinated tea, and water. Mm-hmm. And I feel great. I used to have to drink coffee all day and grab an energy drink or two before a game and all, but I really was doing myself more harm than good. So
you think you were just burning the candle at both ends work-wise and just using the caffeine to just keep you going?
I think so. It was there's probably people that do a lot more of it, but yeah, I was in this business, especially what we do, because our summers are full, then our fall is full, our winter's pretty packed, and then our spring's busy. So there's not a lot of gaps. There are some gaps built into the year, but from that age of 25, from 25 to 60, you've just been, you've been cooking, and it probably catches up with you a little bit. But I think the heart issues what got me. It wasn't necessarily the mental or the physical or the desire to be the best and to bring it. It was more my heart was just slowing me down. But I didn't know that. I knew it was a problem, but I didn't realize it had slowed me down that much. And I wasn't listening. A lot of times doctors, they'll try to give you a good plan to you need to do this, you need to, and you kind of like, okay, and you do it for a week or two, then you go right back to your old ways, and after a while that catches up with you. Mm-hmm. There is there's a payday, and you're gonna pay for it, and so that day came for me where it didn't, it would have mattered maybe if I could have changed some dietary habits, if I'd have lost some weight, that would have helped. But I was so much into the heavy lifting and my background was powerlifting and being around big people all the time. I like trying to move heavy stuff, pick up heavy things. And so over time, that's what, it's what kind of got me. And I had a gentleman years ago, just out of the blue, I can't think of his name. It's been 20 years. He had wrote a book called 70, The New Young. And he said, listen, I want to come by and talk to you. I'd love to spend some time with you. And I was like, we were busy. And so finally I said, hey, come on. So, we we was waiting on him to show up that day. And we kept thinking, where's he at? And kept looking out the door. And finally I saw a guy walking up through there, looked like from Woodstock. had long gray hair. I said, man, that ain't him. And he walked up and introduced himself. That's him. And I'm telling you, God, he looks phenomenal. He was about 70-something years old and super lean, super flexible. I mean, the way he could move and jump, and I was just impressed. And he said it all comes down, if I could give anybody any advice, it would be the older you get, the lighter you need to get. He said, what happens, people just keep getting heavier and heavier and heavier. He said, at some point you got to turn. And he was a guy back in the whatever year it was, he was a bodybuilder and got into Pilates and different things. But he was phenomenal in terms of the way he could move and jump. And he showed us some different floor exercises and things we could do just for mobility, flexibility, and to develop long muscle. And then we just kind of lost touch with him through the years. But I never will forget that statement. If you want to live a long life and without any type of accident or anything, you continue to lose weight. You get lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. And he says, if you do that, your body will be more efficient. Take as much pressure off your heart as you can. Continue to stay active. Continue to do resistance type training. And he said, you'll be fine. But he had a picture of him when he was probably 20s, mid to late 20s, running down the beach. And, I mean, I'm like, gosh, he looks great. And then he had a picture right beside it of him running down the beach when he's about 70. And the only difference was just the muscle mass in terms of how the thickness but he was super lean, abs, the whole deal. I was like, wow.
So during this whole time, you've been in a compromised situation during a pandemic, and you don't have the luxury of locking yourself in your house. You're around 100+ young people, and even though we're in a much better spot now with vaccinations and all that, it still has to be a concern. What has that been like navigating that and sort of?
Yeah, I mean, last year was like in the summer. I remember the first summer session, the year before last, when it really hit. Man, we were losing, God, I don't know how many players. It was like every week somebody was testing positive or asymptomatic. So the first summer session, we were down to like, 20 guys and Trevor. I mean, I was going to say, hey, we got nobody here. Summer 2, it got better. And I just didn't really think about it. I did all the things that I was told by some medical people to, vitamin C, your zinc, your D3, just make sure you're getting, good dosages of that, and then just eating really good and protecting yourself in a crowd. And so that's what I did. And then it calmed down a little bit last, what was it? In the spring, it calmed down. You didn't hear a lot about it. So that's when we were getting ready to go in for surgery. So I didn't really think about it. And then when I came out of surgery, and then about a month after surgery, it all ramps back up again, so I don't really I do think about it every day, but I do try to be smart. I mean, I'm out there with the kids. I like to test a little bit more. I just want to be sure, but, they got protocols and testing in place. And so everybody's, constantly being evaluated. So I just kind of, I don't, there's other things that I'm kind of dealing with the post-surgery stuff. That's one I don't think about, but I definitely wouldn't want to get sick now, for sure,
So when you're out there presiding over a workout, I guess the volume is just down from its previous levels with you, and you delegate that to
it's
others?
In season. We're in season now. So the summer's a little more, I'd say, I think violent, but it's just a little more intense. There's more in season is more. There's strength based, but it's still more recovery. It's not as you got smaller groups, but more groups. So your client, your groups are really smaller. You just, it's just a different feel. You kind of change positions with the coaches become kind of the bad guys in a sense, and you kind of flip roles. and you are more of an encourager. How you feeling? We got to get you back. With strength training, the whole deal. But you don't push them, Lord, and push them close to as hard as you do, because football, it's football season, and so we just really try to be smart with how we train them and how much we do. And it's 130 plus guys, and they're all different. Everybody's different. Everybody's got different needs. Everybody's dealing with some type of aches and pains, and so each coach is responsible for about 25 guys, and he manages those guys.
I was just speaking mainly of how much you're having to govern yourself when you're presiding over workouts and things like that. Normally
I'll just give only just a few announcements. It's kind of what we're doing today, and once they get in here, we just kind of go to work, and coaches take their groups, and everybody's doing their thing. So, it's not as much yelling and screaming as you get in the summer, because you're having to push harder in the summer. Tempo of training's different. Having to move them from a weight room to the field to condition, or moving from the field to back in here. 2-hour sessions as opposed to now maybe a 30-minute session. It's just a lot shorter and quicker.
I remember when I first met you back in, I guess, around 2004, you were over in your little Jervy office, and it was pretty much just you, I think. I mean, maybe a couple of others. And what do you ever think about, man, what if this would have happened back then when you didn't have such a great support network under you?
Yeah. Back then we had me, Coach Mendoza, Coach Sisk. There was 3 full-time coaches, and Coach Greenley was a GA for us, and then we had another GA. So we had about probably a staff of maybe 7-ish, but only 3 full-time coaches. But we had all the sports, except for basketball. So, that would have been a lot tougher to do. But it's always the deal that you find a way. Everybody finds a way. Everybody picks up. Everybody gets delegated something that they wasn't, they were not doing prior to, and then they just take those responsibilities and run with them. And when you get back, you just kind of slowly take those responsibilities back from those people, kind of lighten their load back up so they can do what they do, and put some things back on your plate that you're responsible for.
What's it like telling Coach Sweeney, this is what I got going on, and I guess how understanding has he been through the whole process?
He was great. I think at first he was kind of like, wow, really? He was kind of like, wow, that's, man, what's that? What, he was just wanting to know more of kind of, are you doing okay? And, man, just kind of asking questions about it. And then finally, I was prepping him because I said, hey, I may have to do this. And then finally had to walk in and say, hey, I'm up. And just kind of what kind of timeline you're looking at. It wasn't more for getting to work. It was just more for them to just know. Say, 6 weeks, I'll be gone. And then after 6 weeks, I'll start kind of working my way back in, and with the understanding that, and he was great. He said, just pace yourself. We got a lot of help here, got a great staff. You just keep, do what you got to do, and we know you're going to be better than ever. But it's been very encouraging. Yeah, very encouraging.
Looking back, how did you get through losing your father when you were in high school? And
oh man, that took a long time because it was a shock. He was kind of the rock of our family. He was the rock of the community. He was Mr. A personality, was back in the day, them guys would work all week, coach our rec teams, work a half day on Saturday. In the summer would come home, take his tie off, and would be out pushing the lawnmower, cutting grass with his work clothes on, and his dadgum, whatever shoes he wore, wouldn't he put on? Just hard. Just a hard dude, and they grew up different, and it happened during football season, and it happened during the biggest week of football season, and so that was very, it just took a long time because originally, I went to the Citadel originally, and I loved it down there. I loved being with Coach Baker. He was a head coach, and loved my teammates, and I liked everything about it. But I couldn't get home. So my dad had passed only about a year, and so I had a little over a year old, and a 14, 15-year-old at home, and my mother. And I couldn't get home, because once you're down there, you're there, for a semester. And so I just really, really missed them a lot, and just wanted to be back around them. So that's when I transferred and went to several different schools there. But the way the semester was, Newberry was kind of my best fit at the time. And even other schools I went, I liked them all, but I could get in school right away, so I just went there. And, decided to finish up, made some good friends. Had some other guys from the Citadel who had transferred in, but that way I was home just about every weekend, a little closer to them, to my family, to my mom. So, I think if my dad would, had continued to live, and that would have been, I'd probably stayed for sure, but just hard to focus and knowing them being home, and it's like everybody would tell you, now you're the man of the home and you got to do this. Now it's a lot on the kids, and then kids go through it. It does put a lot of pressure on you. But you just, you kind of find a way to work through it. Still think about him. I got here's a little picture right here when he was running for mayor. That's just a few. That's my sister. He died just a few weeks after that picture was taken. And so I'm just reminded every day. I think the thing that my mom and dad had such a phenomenal work ethic, and a tremendous faith, and they gave you, it's like my mom said the other day. She said, we didn't give you a lot of material things, but we had everything we wanted, but we gave you a work ethic and a deep abiding faith that it's going to last through eternity. And I thought we had a lot, but compared to today, I guess. But I didn't know. We just did what we did and had what we needed and enjoyed. It was more family time, cousins, and we just did more stuff as families together than we really do now. I don't know. Just life was a little more simpler back in the 70s, maybe.
You think your kids, knowing what you went through, losing your father, have a pretty powerful appreciation for the fact that you're sitting here right now?
I think so. I hope so, because I thought about it going in. I mean, it's just, if you have some complications, or how will they respond? How will they respond? And probably similar to the way I responded, just, devastated, hurt, but encouraged and challenged to, there's a legacy there that it goes back some few generations of just hardworking people with a deep abiding faith that set the example. Not perfect people, made mistakes, but they know what it looks like, And that was handed down from my father and my mother to me, and hopefully what me and Susan have been able to display in our home is that's what they see. And so, that would be to them comforting. And then all the great memories, just through all the years of athletics and the championships and the times together and the vacations. We have a collage of pictures behind just me and Susan now. We have a little collage of pictures through all the years right there where we eat breakfast. And this morning she turned around and she said, "Boy, I miss my boys." I said, "Well, they're not too far away. One's in Atlanta and one's about, 18 miles down the road." And we just sat there and looked at those pictures and talked about all those different events and just said, that was incredible. How fast how fast time has gone, but just the great memories. I mean, just great moments and memories, and that's the thing that, like, I go back and look at pictures of our family, that's what they have. They'll have tremendous memories that, will continue to drive them forward. We talk in football about having a windshield mentality, you got to keep your eyes off the rearview mirror, especially in season. You just keep pressing forward. But sometimes it's good to take a glimpse and just see all the different little memorial stones along the way that your kids will be able to see. They got to stay focused forward, moving forward, but they'll be great memories. And they know what it looks like. They know how to do it. And because maybe we did some things right as parents as well.
How old did you say you were?
60.
60. And you've been at Clemson for, you said?
This is my 25th season.
25th season. What is it like to be a part of one of the greatest stories in college football history?
Oh, man. Coach Swinney brought that deep belief that it can be done because it had been done here before. And we hear it all the time. He just believed that we could do it. And he pounded that in us every single day. It's you got to believe, and then you got to put some action to it. And he just built a program based on a philosophy and a belief and what he believed in a culture and how it was to be executed. And then once you build that foundation, you just keep building on that foundation. You just keep building and building. And I jumped in there with him. I sat beside him when he was an assistant coach, and then one day I walk in, he's sitting at the head table, and I'm like, oh, okay. So it really been phenomenal because at some point, I think in every coach's career or business person, they look at people that's won championships or having great success, and they're thinking, I'm working as hard as they are. I'm doing everything they're doing. But you always think it's for somebody else. You always think, well, that's just for somebody else. Well, if I was at this school or if I was at that school, if I had these resources. But what Coach helped me to understand that it is for you. But you just got to go out and do what it takes to get there. And that's what we did. And it's been incredible. I mean, it's phenomenal. And every year's a new year. Every team's different. And you just start to, you've got a culture and a foundation in place, but you still got to tear everything down to the foundation and rebuild. And then, like Coach says, by the end of the year, we'll just see what kind of house we built. And we did a nice job and built a beautiful home and had a special year. Either we didn't do a great job. So, but I'd say the belief that it can be done and the faith and the positivity and the mindset that it just takes to be a great leader and then being a servant leader. So I think all those qualities that he displays, it drives the culture, drives it forward and keeps you motivated and excited. Not that you're not motivated, but it just keeps you pressing, to get better.
Anything I've missed about your story? Last thing you'd like to share?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity to share it. Like I said, if there's anything I'd tell people, it's just, really do a nice job of getting your physicals, taking care of yourself, because the quicker they can diagnose and the quicker you can get some intervention and help, the better your odds and chances are going to be. And I'm afraid too many people are so busy, they just keep waiting and waiting and waiting until when the symptoms show and you really start having problems, then possibly could have waited a little longer than you should. So Coach Swinney really hits us hard as a staff to get you physical before football starts. Make sure you're in a good place physically, so you can be in a good place mentally. But that's what I would say. And then just your faith, really just, when you when you have an event like that, which you realize that how fragile life is, and you'll see those T-shirts that you see coaches wear. It says now. I'm talking about living now, living in the moment. And I think a lot of times we're too worried about, it's okay to plan. You got to plan, you got to have a plan, you got to prepare. But just living in that moment, enjoying those moments, enjoying today, enjoying the things of this day, And just, hey, the good Lord gets us up in the morning, we'll just have another great day. So
you got to get to practice, I'm sure, or get ready for it. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, about that time. That
I don't want to get
good.
yelled at for keeping you too long.
That wouldn't be good for me today.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure to
Yes, sir.
to
I appreciate you. Have me out. Thank you.
All right. I tell you, covering sports, college football, is really fun. The games and all that. But what really hits deep, at least from my perspective, is when you can tell the stories of people, whether through the written word or the spoken word. Being able to share these personal stories is something just value really highly. So appreciate Joey Batson for sharing with us. Also appreciate Football Communications Director Ross Taylor for facilitating this access. And all the best to Joey Batson and a Clemson institution and his family as they move forward. Appreciate the support of our sponsors. And also, most of all, thanks to all of you for hitting play every week. Really appreciate it. Everybody have a great and safe weekend. Cheers.